Hi everybody, Kirsty, Goddess of Neptune here. I hope you're doing well wherever you are in the world. Just bringing you an astrology report for the upcoming full moon in Sagittarius. So we have the full moon in Sagittarius for us in the UK here happening at 4:41 in the morning, Sunday, 4th of June. So of course, apply your own time zones as appropriate. This is for GMT, Greenwich Mean Time, for those of us in the UK. I believe for Los Angeles in America, Pacific time, it's actually 8:41 on the 3rd of June. So for us in the UK, 4th of June, 4:41. Now those numbers are quite significant, and those who know will know, of course, why they're significant. But this is a full moon energy, very powerful energy, can heighten sensitivities within us, of course. Full moons are great for releasing, working with that lunar energy to release. They also illuminate things for us, because think about the moon in the sky, illuminates the darkness, certainly when we can see that full moon in the dark sky. So it illuminates things for us. So there could be a lot of illumination, discovery of things, if you will. Now, interesting, I say discovery because Sagittarius, of course, rules the 9th house in astrology, and that's all about learning, discovery, and also our beliefs as well. Jupiter rules Sagittarius. Jupiter, that planet of expansion. There's a spiritual element as well to Jupiter, and there is that big expansive energy. So Sagittarius, offers that expansive energy of exploration, that discovery, that voyeur, if you like. So it's going to be interesting in terms of what comes up. And of course, I will bring up the chart, and I tend to use the UK's chart just to provide context on the transits. But of course, apply your own charts as appropriate as well. Our houses are going to be different to the collective energy, for example. So take what resonates and leave what doesn't. And I've also got some cards here just to pull some moonology cards, Queen of the Moon cards, and my Astro deck as well, just to give a bit of extra guidance, okay, as part of the reading. So without further ado, let's pull up the chart, okay? And first of all, I'm just going to show you the full moon as an event, okay? And you'll see, again, I've coloured this up, very artistically. So what you'll see is you'll, of course, see some triangles in the middle that actually look like a star when combined. Interesting. But drawing your attention over here, we've got the moon 13 degrees of Sagittarius. That is when the full moon takes place. So it's 4:41 GMT on the 4th of June. And opposite in Gemini, we have the sun at 13 degrees because we are in Gemini season. So we are in that air energy, and the moon, of course, being in that fire energy of Sagittarius. So in terms of that sort of expansive energy, our emotions could be heightened. In terms of what we're discovering right now about ourselves throughout this transformative period we've been going through, this deep reflection that we've had to go through as part of the healing journey, that inner work that we're doing. And those who resonate will resonate with that. But of course, emotions play a part, because a lot has been coming up to the surface for us to process. And it has been challenging. It has been emotional. We've had to purge certain emotions. And when it comes to our beliefs, again, looking at that Sagittarian energy of the 9th house, our beliefs might have changed. In terms of our journey of evolution, our beliefs may have changed. We then need to get into alignment with our situation, our reality, if you like. And with all that energy in Taurus that we've had going on, it's really been encouraging us to ground in the reality that we want to experience. We've gone through powerful shifts, powerful changes. We're still being called for change. We're really needing to get in line with our worth and values and to acknowledge ourselves as a sovereign soul. And now being in Gemini offers that sort of, the polarity, of course. It can offer the balance. It can offer the logical thinking, but also the curiosity and the inquisitiveness. So if we are still discovering things about ourselves and we're wanting to find out more, because this is our quest for discovery, Sagittarian energy, all over that, it is our quest for discovery of who we are. And we might need to look at both sides of a situation. That offers that wider perspective as well. but needing to bring the balance in is important also. And think of Gemini being the two pillars. We've got this expansive energy within our emotions at this time with the full moon, illuminating certain things, maybe regarding our discovery of ourselves or what we still need to discover about ourselves because of what's going on around us, because of connections that we're in, because of situations we're in, because of our own thought patterns, you know, those relationships we have with people, places, things, of course. And I will bring up the UK charts to give you a bit more context on the transits like I usually do. But as I say, this is just showing it as an event, just to show the aspects, you know, the planets with each other. And there are asteroids on here as well, of course. But there is that square energy between Pluto, the South Node, Mars, and the North Node. So, of course, you know, the nodes there, North Node being our purpose, our true north, our guiding sort of way, if you like. And then we have the South Node, which can bring that illusionary feel to it, but it can also represent sort of karmic and past life things. And a lot of our transformative journey has actually been recognizing where there might have been some karma from past lives that's come up because of connections or situations in our present time, in this lifetime, that need to be healed, need to be accepted, need to be understood. Again, the Sagittarian energy of that learning and discovery. So it could have been challenging though, because we're wanting to strive towards our purpose. We know our worth and values. North Node in Taurus, you know, we're wanting to ground in that reality in terms of our purpose here in this lifetime, in this 3D reality. And there is that sort of depth to the karmic stuff going on and potential past life stuff that's coming up, challenging potentially the transformation with Pluto in this square as well, and challenging the masculine energy within all of us, because we have both masculine and feminine within us, because of the square also involving Mars. And Mars being in Leo, you know, that fire energy, that sort of, again, you know, taking action, even though Mars rules Aries, it's still fire energy, and that Leo sort of expressiveness of wanting to be seen, and that kind of epitome of soul essence on display, if you like, the courage, that lion energy within, and Mars being there, the masculine drive of getting things done. And the masculine, okay, and when I say that, I'm referring to the energy within all of us, that masculine drive of getting things done, taking action, having the courage, has had to go through quite a lot in terms of subconscious wounds coming up and battles with the ego. So that has challenged our transformation anyway, because we've had to go through all of that and accept that. And certainly for masculines out there could have been experiencing that, but we all have the energy within us. So we've had to nurture ourselves through this healing journey with the feminine energy, whilst also needing to get things done when it comes to where we're heading in terms of our sovereignty and what we want for our lives. So, you know, as I say, we've got the sun in Gemini because we're in Gemini season, and now opposite the moon, the full moon, you know, heightening that energy of the sort of needing the balance from the soul essence perspective, that inquisitive nature of Gemini wanting the balance. And, you know, this moon energy, we can allow that to work in our favor by accepting the expansive properties of Sagittarius in that way, to illuminate our journey of discovery and what we may still need to discover about ourselves on this journey in relation to this balance that's needed. So we're still needing to change, we're still needing to evolve, and we are discovering more and more. Okay, now what I will say is there is a trine, which is a positive aspect in astrology, between the moon, Mars, Pallas is also there, and Chiron. So very interesting here that we've got Chiron over here at Aries. And again, this is just a chart looking at it as an event. Okay, I will go on to the UK's chart. We've got the moon in Sagittarius, and then we've got Mars in Leo. What's the common thread here? Well, they're all in fire signs. So positive aspect, that fire energy is really coming to the fore. Chiron, even though that's our healing journey, Chiron's in Aries, so we've had to be sort of healing our sovereignty. We've had to find that warrior spirit within And we've needed to go through extensive healing in order to discover who we are as a sovereign soul. And that goes hand in hand with knowing our worth and values, because then we can truly understand, I am a sovereign soul and I'm worth that. My beliefs might have changed now, so I need to align with that. And I need to make sure that everything around me, whether it's people, situations, experiences, needs to be in alignment with me now. I've accepted my sovereignty and I know my worth and values. So that also links in with the, you know, the Mars energy, of course, the masculine drive of wanting to take action and having the courage, you know, having the courage to be our sovereign self. And the moon with that discovery of, wow, I am a sovereign being. And I feel great because I know who I am and I'm discovering more about me. That's Sagittarian energy, offering that expansive energy to who I am and who I can become, can work in harmony. And that's why it's a trine. So the fire energy is really going to help propel us forward in that way. There's also a trine between Pluto, Ceres, and Mercury, who's also there with, I was going to say Aquarius, with Uranus. Okay, so we've got here Pluto in Aquarius. That's where I was thinking. So Pluto, okay, there's a trine. Again, it's not a very straight purple line there, sorry, but just to try and illustrate to you the trine there between Pluto, Mercury and Uranus over there. And then we've got Ceres. So Ceres is also expansive energy, okay? It's kind of mini Jupiter energy. And Ceres can offer that expansion to the transformation, okay? That would be a core to do. Pluto, we know Pluto's in retrograde at the moment, offering us that period up until October to really introspect in terms of, you know, what we do need to transform. We're already going through it, but this is allowing us to really take stock of what we need to transform. So Ceres offering the expansive energy for us to do that, and that working in harmony with Uranus, the planet of change, who is in Taurus, worth and values. So, okay, let's transform. Let's expand this transformation in line with my worth and values, because I know what needs to change, Uranus. And with Mercury there, allowing that expression and being able to communicate where this transformation is needed, even if it's communication to ourselves, you know, because let's be real, we've got to have a truth talk with ourselves every now and then through this transformation journey to accept what truly needs to transform. So that can work in harmony. Okay, it's just the karmic elements, okay, with that square that I pointed out earlier, the karmic elements, anything that's past life related coming up to the surface, that's part of this deep transformation that could be just a bit challenging and could challenge that masculine drive. But let's focus on the positive and let's focus on the trines there, where we can utilize the fire energy to really move us forward in terms of going after what we want based on what we've discovered about ourselves and what we're still discovering about ourselves on our healing journey of sovereignty, you know, discovering who we are as a sovereign soul. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull up the UK chart. Okay, and this is just to show you, if you've not seen any of my reports before, is to give some context, okay, about the transits, because at the time of the full moon, again, 4:41 GMT, okay, for us in the UK, and I'm using the UK's natal chart. So the inner wheel is the UK's natal chart. The outer wheel is the transits at the time of the full moon. It's a freeze frame of the cosmos at that time to look at what aspects we've got going on, okay? And what I've tried to do here is to illustrate using the same colors that I used on what I've just shown you, where these placements are happening, okay? Because the house system for the UK, this could be resonating for those of you in the collective of the UK, or anybody watching who it may resonate for, because let's face it, we're all part of one collective globally, and a lot of these themes are going on globally because we're all facing change, we're all facing transformation of some kind, okay? But this is my interpretation of what I can see when I look at the charts, okay? So that square I mentioned with the North Node and Pluto, the South Node and Mars, okay, indicated here on the outsides with the red lines. So 10th house, 7th house, 4th house, and 1st house. 1st house is the self, 4th house is foundations, 7th house is relationships, and 10th house relates to work, can also be inner authority, and also social status as well. So this is where the challenging energy might be coming up with regards to relationships, 7th house, relationships that need to transform because Pluto's in the 7th house, and how that might be challenging because of karmic stuff coming up within our foundations of what we've probably always known to be this way, and now we're discovering it isn't. South node in the 4th house. Then we've got the North node in the 10th house, pushing us forward in terms of, right, our inner authority here, let's lead by example, follow our purpose. And then you've got Mars in the 1st house, empowerment of the self. Okay, so it's more really the deep transformation within relationships that could be challenging, especially karmic ones. Okay, so that's how that relates, and it could affect our foundations. Okay, what we're trying to build for ourselves in that way. But then when we look at the trines that I highlighted before, we've got the moon down here, okay, in the 5th house for the UK. So the moon, the full moon, will be in the 5th house of love, folks. And the trine is with the 10th house. So we know the North node is there, but we know Chiron is there, and this is where the trine is. So the healing journey within our inner authority, within that fire energy, but also because there is some Taurus there as well. Again, it's to do with our worth and values, how we see ourselves in terms of our inner authority, but also how other people might see us in terms of our social status. So if we're empowered and we're following our true north, we're going to be seen differently by others than if we're hiding away and not being our true self. Is that correct? I would say so. So we can use that empowerment of the expansive energy within our emotions and our feelings, the moon, within the illumination of the full moon, to discover more about who we are. And certainly when it comes to love, but let's not forget loving ourselves in terms of this journey of transformation and healing, discovery, okay? And the 1st house of the self, you know, we've got to be thinking of ourselves. That's where Mars is. So that completes that trine. Yeah. So we've got that masculine empowerment going on within the 1st house of the self, Leo energy, wanting to be seen, bringing forth that lion energy, that courage to go after what we want, because we are discovering who we are and we're loving ourselves for that. And it's working in harmony with our healing journey in terms of our sovereignty and where we are heading in terms of our true north, our purpose, our alignment with our worth and values. That's how that can work in harmony. My interpretation of that for the UK's chart, okay? The other trine that's going on, remember I said we've got Mercury and Uranus in Taurus. Now for the UK, that's in the 11th house of connections with others. And then we've got Pluto in the 7th house, okay? So Pluto in the 7th house, and we know Pluto is part of that square that's going on, but we're going to focus on the positive energy here. 7th house of relationships with people, places, things. And the 3rd house, which is where Ceres is transiting through, admittedly conjunct the UK's natal Lilith. Okay, so there could be some shadow aspects coming up there, maybe a bit of self-criticism. Okay, just going to put that out there. But remember, Lilith is a great teacher and can actually help us move forward in all of this by teaching us what we need to know about ourselves. It's the shadow side. We need to have a good relationship with our shadow in order to understand what we've got to transform. So again, that's where the trine works in harmony, and that's in the 3rd house. So we've got the 3rd house of expression, communication, 7th house of relationships, people, places, things, and 11th house with connections with others. So where we need to change our connections with other people, Uranus in the 11th house, in line with our worth and values, Taurus energy. This is working in harmony with the deep transformation that Pluto is calling for in the 7th house of relationships with people, places, things. And our expression of what needs to change is being supported by that Ceres energy in Virgo, you know, that earth energy of our reality of what we want to see, but not only that, our expression of that. So not holding back, but we are feeling empowered to express this. Yeah. And that can work in harmony as well. So it's a very, for me, when I look at this, and this has been, you know, for the past few astrology reports, for the UK's chart particularly, there's been a lot of emphasis on the change with connections with others. Okay, it doesn't have to be romantic relationships, but bearing in mind, we've got the moon in the 5th house of love, opposite the 11th house of connections with others. And that's where the sun is, okay, because we've got part Taurus and part Gemini there. So that soul essence of the cosmos, also heightening the need for change because they're in the same house. Excuse me. Okay. There is divine feminine energy supporting this, again, nurturing the change that's needed. And Mercury is there, again, supporting our expression and also our thought process when it comes to all of this. We need to feel into the situation as intuitive beings, but we also then need to apply logic where change is needed, because then we need to, you know, take action. That's how it can all work in harmony. But the first trine that I refer to with Chiron and the moon and Mars all being in fire signs, that empowerment of that fire energy is powerful to propel us forward. And recognizing that at the moment, you know, the Pars Fortuna, sorry, down here in the 5th house, okay, is conjunct the UK's Pars Fortuna. So that's the pot of fortune. That is, you know, the joy, the abundance, and fortune can come in many ways, but it's in the house of love. So it might be that there are some fortunate relationships developing, okay, because we're allowing that Sagittarius energy of discovery. Because let's face it, and I'm going off on a tangent now, let's face it, when we're actually free to be who we are, we're empowered in terms of who we are, we can then attract like-minded individuals, kindred souls, because we know who we are. We're firm on who we are, you know, we've got the courage to be who we are. And this healing journey, you know, it's not for the faint-hearted. We're learning lessons here. And remember, Saturn is in the house of the divine, serving up these karmic returns, but also still supporting us through lessons. And this is to do with our spirituality, our divine truth. So it's been a time. So, you know, it feels like there could be some fortunate connections going on, but recognizing that what's going on in the 5th house here, okay, so it's because it's this chart, is opposite the 11th house, where change is needed. So as long as we're allowing relationships and connections with others to evolve in the way that's best in alignment with our worth and values, Taurus energy, and that are going to bring the balance in with the Gemini energy, okay, then that's going to be more harmonious, it feels. But certainly the deep transformation comes to relationships with people, places, things, and it could simply be a shift in our thought patterns, because we have relationships with our thoughts as well, don't we? So very much empowerment there. I'm going to stop sharing, but you know, we need to be empowered in terms of how we move forward, how we view ourselves, you know, that inner authority of the 10th house, how we view ourselves and how we have viewed ourselves in the past, I'm sure is different, because we've been going through this healing, we've been going through this transformation, and now we're recognizing our sovereignty more and more. So we are naturally viewing ourselves as more worthy of abundance, as more worthy of love, as more worthy of divine blessings. And that's amazing, because we can use that expansive energy of the full moon in Sagittarius, okay, to release what is not in alignment with us, because we're on this quest of discovery. We are on this quest of discovery in terms of our sovereignty, and we've got the fire energy in that trine supporting us. You know, think of the wands suit in tarot. That's fire energy. So allowing that fire energy to move us forward, okay, and recognizing that we're still, you know, going through transformation. You know, there's still going to be potential obstacles that we need to navigate and overcome, because things are coming up for a reason at this time. We're being divinely guided into these situations to make sure that we've fully transformed. You know, it could feel like test after test after test for some. And for those who are just awakening to their true sovereignty, it can be a bit of a wake-up call. But this is about moving forward and allowing that expansive energy that Jupiter can bring, because it's Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter. There's a spiritual aspect because Jupiter was the original ruler of Pisces before Neptune was discovered. So there's an ethereal sense to this as well. You know, our sovereign soul, our discovery of who we are as a sovereign soul is extremely powerful. And when you recognize you've got source energy running through you, and you can communicate with source energy via your intuition, via your higher self, how amazing is that? And it puts things into a different perspective. So when I was saying about Gemini and looking at both sides, that could be the 3D and the 5D right now. You know, looking at, as my throat chakra goes, looking at the 3D reality in which you're placed, and the 5D in terms of what your higher self is telling you, what spirit's telling you, what your intuition's telling you, and allowing yourselves to align that, your 5D truth, okay, with the reality, and vice versa. So we need to shift our 3D reality to align with who we are in the 5D, because we are souls having a human experience here. It's not the other way around. So our 5D self is what's driving us forward. And all of these challenges, experiences, lessons is part of our voyage of discovery. So the full moon, illuminating with the Sagittarius energy, expanding that, of course, could heighten the emotions because it's the moon. So it could heighten our emotions. But this is, like I say, a wake-up call to who we are. And there is a spiritual aspect here that we need to realize fundamentally who we are as a soul, and then allow our reality to be grounded in based on who we are as a soul. Okay, so we want our reality to align in terms of our worth and values. And when we know who we are as a soul, and we know what we're truly worthy of, not what other people tell us or the conditioning or the nonsense that's out there, this is about aligning with our spiritual truth. Our reality can then be aligned with that, which means that relationships and connections that are not in alignment with our worth need to go or need to evolve, because Uranus is there, certainly for the UK, in the 11th house of connections with others. Change is needed, pure and simple. So where do connections need to change for our highest good? They maybe don't need to be released, but they need to change in some way to bring the balance in with our worth and values, to align with our worth and values. Where is that deep transformation needed within ourselves, within our relationship with ourselves, within our relationships with others, within our relationships with things, with places? Maybe we've outgrown a place. It's recognizing what our soul is telling us, and it's important to align with that. So just wanted to put that out there. But it's very much expansive energy, you know, that's Sagittarian energy, it's fire energy. We've got that fire energy supporting us, and we can allow that to drive us forward. And if we are getting those heightened emotions, those emotions are directing us to what needs to change, or it could be directing us to that discovery of who we truly are, and the realization of that, because that can be profound as well. Okay, so let's take some cards. Let's start with the Astro Codes deck. Okay, let's see what additional messages we might have for the collective and full moon in Sagittarius. For the full moon in Sagittarius. For the full moon in Sagittarius, please. What do we need to know? Wow. Thank you, Spirit. Perfect confirmation there. Now, on the bottom, hidden energy, we've got Scorpio, and that is hidden energy generally, because that's the depth. That's what Pluto is operating on, that deep transformative energy. But we've got Scorpio. So there could be some investigation that's needed. Again, think of the Gemini energy. The sun's in Gemini. Investigation, inquisitiveness about ourselves. But that also ties in with the discovery element of what we're learning about ourselves with the Sagittarius energy. So it's how our soul is working with our emotions in that way, the sun and the moon. We've got Venus. So let's remember, love is the foundation of everything. And if we operate from a place of love, then we know we're being pure of heart, we're being pure of soul, okay? And we're coming from that place of divinity. Okay, that's divine feminine energy as well. We've got solar calm, and it says clarify on here, but I'm also kind of drawn to, I know it's not colored in that way, but it just makes me think of the chakras. But we need to clarify potentially where change is needed. And that's where that investigation comes in. That's where that inquisitiveness comes in. That's where that journey of discovery comes in. But this is the icing on the cake. That's the confirmation from Spirit of Jupiter's presence. Okay, so Jupiter is certainly there in the Sagittarian energy of the expansion. But let's just pull up the chart again. Bear with me. Let's pull up the chart. So we've got, at the moment, Jupiter, okay, is up here in the 10th house, right next to the North Node, okay? And the UK's Jupiter is in the 9th house. So the 9th house is ruled by Sagittarius. But for the UK's chart, this just happens to be Pisces, spiritual. Okay, so there is that expansion within beliefs when it comes to spirituality. Neptune is also there transiting through. So there is emphasis on spirituality, and Saturn is also making sure we're in alignment with our spirituality in terms of our divine truth, our soul's truth, if you like. But, you know, up in the sky, Jupiter transiting through the 10th house of inner authority in Taurus, worth and values. So again, it's that expansion of worth and values when it comes to our purpose, when it comes to our inner authority, perhaps even specifically within work as well, 10th house, but certainly being able to expand our inner authority based on our worth and values. So of course, as we're discovering who we are, as I was saying before, we can then expand our inner authority so that others then see us, that social status aspect, as that expansive energy of a divine soul, as a divine sovereign soul who knows their worth, who knows their values. Very powerful. So having Jupiter there, amazing, major expansive energy. But just know that Jupiter can expand good and bad. We want Jupiter to expand the good for us because we're realizing who we are and our sovereignty, our divinity in all of that. Amazing. But I was just drawn to looking what was underneath Scorpio, and there we have Uranus, change. So underpinning everything is the need to change. This is the change, the transformation that's going on right now. And it's beautiful transformation if we can see it as beautiful transformation. Okay, but it is certainly a voyage of discovery right now. Okay, let's go with the Moonology deck. This is the original Moonology deck. Okay. I also have the Moonology Manifestations deck, but that's more for the new moon. This is, of course, for a full moon, so we're going to go with the original deck. Okay, what do we have, please, for the collective? Full moon in Sagittarius. What else do we have? Thank you. Oh, I love it. It's so in sync. It really is amazing. So first of all, we've got on the bottom, we've got full moon energy, it's Libra. A win-win outcome is forecast. That is saying that the hidden energy, there is justice, there is balance, okay? Once we go through our healing journey, we align with our truth. That's when justice can prevail and we can receive our divine blessings because we're in alignment with our true self. But we have here a new start is coming. So of course, cycles need to close for new cycles to begin. So that's why there's emphasis on needing to release what we need to release. A new start is coming. Powerful energy, you know, this is saying it's coming no matter what. So we've got to go with the energy, work with the energy, make sure we are transforming in line with our true self. But this, I said Jupiter was the icing on the cake before. This one is. Look at the bigger picture. Full moon in Sagittarius. So there you go. Confirmation there, folks. This full moon in Sagittarius, which is what this report is, and this is the card that's come out. This is all about shooting that arrow in terms of where you want it to go. You know, where do you want your life to go? What are you learning? What are you discovering? What's been illuminated to you about what needs to change, about your path, you know, anything like that. So where do you want to aim that arrow? You know, what is your goal in terms of your purpose and in terms of your healing journey? Looking at the bigger picture, look at it from the universe's perspective, with all of us souls on this planet and others beyond, you know, that's expansive in itself, isn't it? So when you recognize that there is a bigger picture to all of this and that a new start is coming, our cycles that we need to close out contributes to the collective cycles as well. Let's not forget everything's energy, you know, but in our own lives, this is about recognizing we can dictate our reality. We can create the reality we want, but we need to accept that change is part of that. If we stay the same all the time, where's that going to achieve? You know, what's that going to achieve, should I say? Where's that going to get us? This is about looking at the bigger picture. And the Gemini energy, you know, inquisitive, look at the bigger picture, but also from a 5D perspective, look at it from a higher perspective, you know, what your higher self would say, because your higher self knows where you're being guided towards. So checking in and then recognizing what those messages are, accepting them as part of what you're discovering about your soul's truth. It's quite profound, because don't forget, we've been conditioned, you know, to maybe not believe that we're worthy of greatness. So when we wake up to the fact that we are worthy of greatness, we could doubt that. You know, we could be like, no, that's for someone else. That's not for me. Why? We are sovereign souls. So we're worthy of divine blessings. So let's get it on. So, you know, look at the bigger picture, folks. Amazing. Thank you, Spirit. That came out. And to round off this reading, Queen of the Moon. Okay. Queen of the Moon. Let's see what the Queen of the Moon has for us. What does the Queen of the Moon have for us, please? Yeah, release in reverse. So what do we actually need to release here that's going to set us free, that's going to liberate us in order for this new start to come in? You know, we can't hold on to the old energy that's not serving us. If we're waiting for new cycles to start, you know, perhaps there is a new beginning that's wanting to come in, and yet we're still holding on to something that has, you know, served its purpose. You know, there's value in everything, there's purpose in everything, but there's also a time when certain situations, if they're karmic particularly, if we've learned those lessons, then we need to detach. That can be hard, you know, energetically, but there is changes coming, but we still need to release, and the full moon is perfect for that. You know, in terms of lunar energy, self-reflection. Yeah, so it all starts from us. It all starts from within. How do we view ourselves? How do others view ourselves is not really our problem. You know, it's how we view ourselves and how we treat ourselves. And that's where the Venus energy, and just drawn to that, you know, the love needs to come in. The moon is going to be in the 5th house for the UK, the house of love. So this is about recognizing that we need to reflect when it comes to our self-reflection. You know, where do we need to change? This is not about where do other people need to change. This is about where do we need to change. So if there's a connection that you know needs to change or evolve in some way, it's not kind of the negative aspect of, well, that person needs to change, I don't need to change. This is all about, again, utilizing that expression energy to work in harmony with the transformation that's needed, and having that courage to say, look, you know, this situation needs to be brought back into balance, and maybe I need to take responsibility for something, but this also needs to happen, because otherwise this relationship, this connection has served its purpose, and, you know, we need to go our separate ways, or it needs to evolve in some way, you know, to give an example. But this is about the change being driven from us. So if what I'm trying to say is, if we know that something is not in alignment with us, then we need to reflect on why it's not in alignment with us and how that can change. Okay, that's that self-reflection. And also reflecting on ourselves in terms of our sovereignty, realizing our potential in terms of our sovereignty, coming out of the darkness in relation to that. You know, I always feel when I see this card, the Dark Night of the Soul, yeah, because we need to recognize we've got the power in our hands to manifest the reality that we desire, but we need to also surrender as part of that to the divine. You know, we need to set our intentions, of course, in terms of what we want to release, but then we need to surrender and allow it to be so. Take the necessary action, of course, for our highest good, but you know, this is kind of allowing our dark night of the soul to light our path forward. Because when we've gone to that place of having to really go within, you know, really go within and be like, wow, this is who I am. Oh my goodness me. What about all this? What about all that? And having to purge through the layers of conditioning, the layers of toxicity of maybe people who have told us we're not worthy of things, situations where we've not felt worthy of things for one reason or another. And we've got to try and get through all of those layers, you know, to actually, you know, it's almost like pulling off all those layers can be painful, can be challenging, but that lights our path forward, because that in itself is giving us wisdom. Okay, like the hermit, okay, in the tarot deck, holding the lantern with the light inside, like a little star lighting our path. And, you know, that's what this is doing. You know, the moon can do that. The moon can light our path because of the illumination side. So think of it this way: what we're discovering about ourselves can light our path forward, because when we discover who we are and what we're capable of and what we're worthy of, that's going to light our path forward to say, right, okay, Spirit's saying to you, wow, you've recognized who you are. You're a divine soul. You're worthy of all these blessings. Now I'm going to turn the light on and show you the path. But it starts from us. Again, that's self-reflection. And the power is in our hands. Okay. Look at the bigger picture, full moon in Sagittarius. Okay. So I'm wishing you all the best for this full moon in Sagittarius. Let's go with the flow in terms of, you know, this healing journey. Let's be kind to ourselves in that respect. Let's go at our own pace. You know, we don't want to put pressure on ourselves, but energetically, the past few weeks certainly have been intense, because a lot of the energetic shifts have resulted in physical symptoms, exhaustion, and other things that, you know, can make us feel pretty meh. But that's all about how we can then transform that and come out of that and then move forward, because we've got that wisdom of everything that we've learned in that introspection time to then move forward in our true sovereignty and divinity. So sending you love and blessings for this full moon in Sagittarius, and allowing you to really go within and allow yourself to expand in terms of your sovereignty and the journey of discovery that you're on. If the full moon illuminates, you know, more about who you are, it could just heighten some emotions because of, you know, reactions to that. But ultimately, this is all for our highest good. And remember the trine with Chiron and with Mars as well. This is all about, you know, allowing our emotions to guide us forward, that fire energy to propel us forward, to move in the direction of where we're going, in line with our sovereignty, in line with our worth and values, and having the courage to do so. And it's all based on discovering who we are at the core. So wishing you all the best until the next report. Take care, everybody. Bye for now.